Okay, guys. Today is kind of another bigger update to where we're currently at with the game. We're pushing oh, pretty hard, long hours, and trying to get this to a point to where we're going to start doing some play testing here by the end of the month with the larger group. Right now, I'm having a blast playing it. Just working through my checklist of uh, largely what needs to get done before we can do full loop testing. So looking at things like more passive abilities, more stat upgrades. I need to finish data entry on gear, create all of our placeholder icons for gear items and abilities, a bit more UI work, and then getting our first playable map, um, all the assets in place roughly so we can start testing and playing around with texturing and our path materials and all of that. Get the lighting down and everything. So overall, basically feels like there's still an entire game to build, but a lot of menu work has been done over the past week or two. Of I've redone a lot of menus, almost all of them, and so I'll go to my just little test map here. Largely getting the HUD redone, uh, going into the actual menu and starting to redo a lot of the frames and uh, working through like how I want all this stuff to react. Completely redoing the attributes, um, kind of cleaning that up. There was a lot, and it was pretty hard to read. I'm still not sure on the pink because it is hard to read. So that's something I'm considering and need to change and work on, maybe an outline or something. Uh, but yeah, I got a lot of this working, restructured how gear set pieces are displayed with their icons and their bonuses and stuff like that. So overall, I can give myself more gear and a couple more consumables. Um, so this has all been a long time coming. So the inventory menu is actually coming out really nicely, I think. The abilities menu is pretty much one of the only menus I have left to work on. And then uh, let's see, we can go to the main map now. Um, and we can hit play from here, full screen. And so this is still in progress as well, primarily done. However, uh, some things that need work is the ability upgrade menu right here. I have my mock-up. I just need to get it put into place so that it looks a bit more professional than what my current mock-up is. So this is working good, but I'll end up cleaning up some of the logic on this. Um, it's going to end up going more centered, and this is all working fine for your loadouts for the characters. Um, Adding in a few things like highlighting for those character select and stuff like that. Then you have all your attributes, which are reflected here, um, that you can see live affecting your armor and stuff like that. So that's all working great. And that's the character menu. And then, where is it here? This is currently where the level select menu is at. Just a few more things to get rid of like some placeholders and stuff um, for images, and are going to be one day multiplayer, and then just working through, got all our difficulty buttons functioning recommended power. This text needs to get cleaned up in a few spots to match. And then, yeah, you can have your tooltips. Those are also on the UI. So, like I said, there's a lot of little tidbits in the UI to tie up placeholder numbers for gear power. Probably because I didn't name the variable. So quick fixes. But yeah, this is a read-only menu, so mainly just the style. We finally got it nailed down. Our formatting and everything for when you want to go into your next level. And then you can ready up, and then it will load. So that's currently it. Your currencies don't have icons, so placeholder BS for the currencies. And settings menu, that's not done, not even a priority at the moment. So yeah, so the menus are coming along actually really great. I don't know, interested in what people think on the style for the menus and the character. Let's see, let's go to the test map. Actually, we will give ourselves another weapon for the debug inventory. So let's add this in. And let's see if that works. And then pull up. I'm just going to delete the save so we get a fresh save. Okay. So now, if I go to my test map, hit play, we'll pick some abilities here, drop that music down. I'll get my inventory. I'm gonna die. It won't actually kill me, but that's fine. So we have this Rampart Edge. This does a void spawn, and then you have the Fault Splitter, which does more of a like Earth Spike ability that comes out. One is on activation and one's on kill. So that's kind of the two there. If you see, we'll just start actually just like decimating these people with these spikes, and we kind of go around, and this is just the default weapon ability. With options later on for mutations for the ability to become much more severe. But it works great. It doesn't have the debuffs applied to it yet for the damage payload, but that's coming, and same thing with like some scaling off of attack range and stuff like that. Level up. Go full screen here. So this ability is working pretty good. Actually really dig it. And then if we take that one off, sure, we'll throw that one in. And now we've got this cleaver, which has a chance on kill to essentially spawn a vortex. There it goes. And it will just start sucking in enemies and killing them. It's pretty awesome. It might be too strong, but at the moment, that's not a concern. I think it's just a really fun weapon to play with, especially like once you start upgrading it, and maybe we'll add something to where, after you spawn and it sucks them in, it, can shoot matter out and damage in a bigger cone. Playing around with a couple ideas. So the balance for it is spawn chance, and when you do get it, the spawn chance is directly tied to the rarity of the weapon, because otherwise, I mean, you could have it up 100% of the time if we did it on its own attribute for Vortex, but you can see, I think this is literally only, yeah, this is just a rare weapon, and you're at about 27% spawn chance, and the cap right now I have at 45%. Um, so it's still really, really powerful, really good weapon. Not only that, you get some crowd control, being able to pull them in, and it'll actually lock them in place. Granted, a lot of these are low health enemies, so it's actually pretty great. And now we're getting like a new pool of different enemies. So um, the AI side, things are still getting worked out, kind of tuning. We haven't done too much with like um, tuning the levels up. We've been working through just getting abilities figured out. And then once we kind of have a lot of our abilities figured out, we'll start balancing each of the bands for the levels. And that will help a lot with figuring things out, like where, because you can see there's so many worms. All those red circles are worms that are like trying to come out from underneath the ground, and it's way too much. Um, and they're quite aggressive, and I'm dead. So like clearly we have some damage issues. These flowers deal like way too much damage, so we got to tune them down a bit. Um, and work on some more of the survival mechanics for the player as far as like how high we're going to start like base initialization for health values, and some of the scaling factors, like how much weight vitality will have on scaling health and stuff like that. So those are all the hard things. Like making the abilities are actually like quite easy. Um, it comes down to really getting things tuned up. And that's kind of, games in this genre that do it well, that people really play. Um, they do it masterfully. So, you know, uh, call them, anything you want. They're very well designed and well balanced games, um, and that's kind of a big part of this challenge of making a game like this is the amount of uh, planning and effort that it goes into balancing this many stats and balancing all these different types of abilities and um, enemy spawning, the rates, uh, drop rates, um, XP scaling, where you should be leveling up, mats you need to be getting for leveling resources, attribute points for scaling a specific character class, any buff items and health potions that come from within the POIs, because it's not shown here, but if we eject out, the map is quite large, and so we'll probably tune this down. This is a 1024 by 1024, so it is like very massive. And you can see this is our tentative boss gate. Um, so it's a matter of like really getting the playing down. This character is the slowest character in the game, but working on an alternative movement mechanic for him, with like a long dash, like an overheat dash, to where you can basically cover a large distance quickly and then kind of go back slow and on a cooldown. So it's quite a large map. We have a lot of POIs, and these are just tentative POIs, and we'll be densely packing this with different destructibles and collectibles and stuff like that that you can pick up, terrain that you can kind of use to your advantage for moving around, um, some of the puzzle mechanics and stuff like that, and anchors that you need to interact with for unlocking the boss. Uh, but overall, the scale might still get pulled down. That's going to come down to more testing, uh, but it is quite large. Um, I don't know. We'll just kind of figure that out when we get there. It's the most basic map we could do right now. So I mean these two weapons. There's still two more to go, and that's all of the weapons. We have 4 weapons in total for this character, and they're all unique attack types. So none of them are just swing a sword, do a melee kind of thing. That was never my intention with any of these. Um, you know, we're along the lines of uh, having, full-on ARPG mechanics wrapped up into this survival-like, and that's kind of like the interesting thing that I've been wanting to really follow. And then, we have our ultimate that I just worked on, to where now we have a shield, we gain a buff. I'll end up doing a particle effect for that. Um, right now the damage is really low. I think it's only doing like 20, maybe 20 a hit. Um, the worms don't seem affected, so that's something interesting. Uh, but yeah, that's kind of the premise of where combat is at. um, as I work through more of the gear, more of the abilities that are kind of common, we have the base ones down and doing a lot of particle effects and sounds and stuff like that. Um, our plan is around the first week of June to be introducing a rough prototype demo. It is going to be exactly that, not even alpha. It is just to get people to play the game. And we're not pushing, insanely farther than that, other than just focusing on polish of what we do have, and then taking feedback and criticism. We're not trying to shift our vision, but we do think that any input we get is extremely valuable. Um, at the end of the day, it's a product, and we're designing a product around a gap that we think needed to be filled and was something challenging for us as a two-man team to build. Um, it's something different. It had a lot of technical challenges that were really interesting to solve when it comes to performance, with the amount of enemies we're trying to spawn and handle all of those, um, dealing with stat management, how gear affects stats, everything like that. These are all basic systems for very large studios, but on a small scale, for myself mainly doing all of the inventory and ability programming, and my coworker doing all of the PCG and AI systems and sound systems and stuff like that. Um, we have it divvied up really well. We just, are conquering these challenges as they come along. So we're excited to see what people think, and I'm sure they're going to give us more challenges for features that they want. Multiplayer is going to be something we're definitely not focusing on. We plan around it. It's built into everything we do, but there's no heavy focus on multiplayer at this moment. Um, but it is being considered as we, you know, make everything. And yeah, eventually we'll have the time to where we think we're in a good state and there's enough content and the concept is there that we can then really shift into more of the networking side and start knocking a lot of that out. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. Things are going fast. The focus is really going to be pushing into these next couple weeks, getting everything ready that I kind of talked about at the beginning. These are the only two weapons that I showcased. Those are the only two that are going to be available in that demo. The rarities, that's they're probably not going to go higher than rare items, just because the drop chance. I don't know, it's not going to happen. Anything higher than rare, most likely. And so, um, there'd be a lot of gear options, different ways to build out your characters, um, different class abilities and ways to do different loadouts and stat splits and stuff like that. And we're big on the theory crafting and not charging, in-game currencies to keep manipulating a build and trying new things. That's never the intention. That quite honestly, as a player myself, takes me out of a game because I don't want to grind for a resource just so I can try out some crazy theory and then it be like total shit idea and now like I wasted that resource, spend more hours. Like my time is limited and I don't want to play the that kind of game. So for us it was giving people the options to really try crazy things and it's kind of no cost to them. to put them back because we value you guys' time that and support that we do have. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy.